This is the banking application capstone presentation. I am Tushar Dar. Part 1 covers the front-end architecture, authentication, and app diagram. This banking application was designed using a three-tier architecture consisting of front-end, back-end, and the data store. Mon Stack, which includes 4 key technologies, namely React, Node.js, Express.js, and MongoDB, were used to develop the application. This slide talks about the front-end component architecture. On the client side, this app uses a React standalone architecture and Babel transpiler. The file structure consists of functional components shown on this slide. At the top of the component tree is context. It contains Bootstrap-style card component shared with all other components. Next, index.js. For routing, we are using React Router DOM and HashRouter. Within the index file, we are writing routes to all the components. Index.html. This file contains the CDN links to React, Babel, Bootstrap, and the root div navbar. This contains a Bootstrap navbar, which is used by all other components. And finally, components on the last row of the component tree will be discussed in detail in part 3 of the presentation. Next slide. We will talk about the UI decisions that went into designing the front end. Routing. In this application, routing was executed using an event-based mechanism. When a navbar item or label was clicked on, we would load a function. Context. The reason for using context was avoiding code duplication by sharing a common card component across the component tree. Styles. For styles, we used a Bootstrap navbar and cards. We also added a styles.css file for basic styling of the website. Components and parent-child components. Components were defined based on the problem at hand. For example, the login component handles the login feature. Decisions on state. To manage state within the page, each component keeps track of values like name, email, password, status messages, and also the user context. The last UI decision was forms and handling events. In this app, a recurring theme is the use of Bootstrap cards to input user information. Things happen on the page and are handled using an on-change, button click, or on-click events. This is the final slide in part 1 covering authentication. In this application, 2 methods of authentication are used. Number 1, authentication using JWTs. JSON Web Tokens were used for authenticating users and adding security to the client-server communication. The second authentication is OAuth. Here, GitHub integration is added in addition to the JWT for authentication of a user login. What challenges did you encounter when establishing authentication? How did you overcome those challenges? Setting up login and logout within the context of token-based authentication was the biggest challenge. The solution to this problem was understanding local storage and how tokens work in the context of the project was helpful in solving the challenge.